you so much. I can sense a civic duty a mile away. It's something we pass on, something with a history, so that we can say, my father gave this to me, and his father gave it to him, and now I'm giving it to you. But it seems to me that more and more we've come to expect less and less from each other, and I think that's got to change. So, how do we end this cycle? Be subject to one another. If a guy is a good neighbor, if he puts in a day, if every once in a while he laughs, if every once in a while he thinks about somebody else, and above all, if he can find his way to compassion and tolerance, then he is my brother. So where are we going? What's next? Well, what's next is this. Get in the game. You can make a substantial contribution, and if you go down swinging, at least you took your shot. Just don't ever watch the pitch go by. Joy cometh in the morning. Scripture tells us that, and I hope it is right, because I don't know if life would be worth living if it wasn't. Because there is evil in the world. There always will be evil in the world, and we can't do anything about that. So now the streets of heaven are crowded with angels. They are our students and our teachers and our parents and our friends. Yet the true measure of a people's strength, and this is what's next, is how they rise to master that moment when an unexpected challenge or tragedy arrives. Unfortunately, we learn these lessons the hard way. There's violence in our schools, too much mayhem in our culture, but we can do something about that. There aren't enough teachers in our classrooms. There aren't nearly enough. There isn't nearly enough. Not nearly enough money in our classrooms, and we can do something about that. Run for a seat on your local school board. Advocate for budget increases. Get in the game. What will be the next thing that challenges us, that makes us work harder and go farther? Global warming constitutes a clear and present danger to the health and well-being of this planet and all of its inhabitants. If that concerns you, get in the game. If you're off the charts tired of the gun lobby tossing around words like personal freedom and nobody's calling them on it, get in the game and remind the NRA that the gun safety laws are not trying to take the guns away. They are trying to stop the guns from taking our children away. What are you concerned about? Election security, civil rights, or veterans issues? Health care or homelessness? Choice? And spend the next 10 weeks organizing a voter registration drive. Get in the game and get out the vote. My great-great-grandfather's great-grandfather was Dr. Josiah Bartlett. He was the New Hampshire delegate representing the Second Continental Congress, the one that sat in session in Philadelphia in the summer of 1776 and announced to the world that we were no longer subjects of the good old King George III, but rather a self-governing people. We hold these truths to be self-evident, they said, that all men are created equal. And strange as that may seem, that was the first time in history that anyone had ever bothered to write those words down. Decisions are made by those who show up. Now, they're telling me that we're almost out of time here, so here's your homework. At the end of the day, you really have to ask yourself, what are you thinking about? The answer? Tomorrow. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. There's a promise that I ask everyone here who works here to make. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful and committed citizens can change the world. You know why? It's the only thing that ever happens. This is the time for American heroes. This is the time to do what is hard, to achieve what is great, to run into the fire and reach for the stars. However you reach for the stars in your corner of the universe, however you get in the game, please believe me when I tell you it does make a difference. You're going to open your mouth and lift houses off the ground. Whole houses clean off the ground, yes. And you can help lift up this nation and all its people to that place where the heart is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from truth and tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sands of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, dear Father, let our country awake. Thank you.